Hello friends, welcome to the Nola Louise Knits channel. I'm going to show you how to work the alternating cable cast on, which is a wonderful stretchy beginning to your knit that kind of folds over the edge. It's almost invisible. I would say the tubular cast on gives you a slightly more invisible ribbed start, but I think the alternating cable cast on looks almost as good and it's a lot less complicated to do. Okay. So you're going to begin by making a slip knot with your yarn. You don't need a long tail for this cast on, just enough so that you can sew the end in. Okay. So the first stitch you're going to do is just a regular knit stitch into that slip knot. Make sure you're using the working yarn from the ball rather than the tail. Okay, and then I always keep the stitch on the second needle and just pick it up by bringing the left-hand needle under and through the loop. So I just go under, through the loop, and then I snug it up. That's just the setup. For the first actual alternating cable stitch, we're going to insert the needle through the space between the two stitches. So you can see it's not in that first stitch, it's between. If you've done the cable cast on before, this is exactly the same thing. Pull it through, and again, leaving this on the right hand needle, just scoop that stitch up from the bottom and then snug it up. Okay, here's where the difference comes in. We're going to bring our right hand needle behind the work and insert it from back to front, like we were going to do a purl stitch, but again, we're not going through that stitch, we're going between the two stitches on the needle. And then we're going to wrap as a purl stitch, pull it through, and put that stitch on the needle. Okay, so I'm going to show you that slow motion a couple times. So first we go back to doing a cable knit stitch, so inserting the needle from front to back between the two stitches closest to the end, and knitting. And then we go behind the work, insert the needle from back to front, purl-wise, and put it on the needle. So here's what it shows like slightly more sped up. Whoops, it's a little hard to do this through my camera. So knitwise, purl-wise. Knitwise, purl-wise. Knitwise, purl-wise. Okay, so now that we have quite a few stitches on there, let's look what that looks like on the needle. So here's my first slip knot, and then you can see the stitches are alternating between these ones that have little purl bumps on them and these ones that have a slightly diagonal V at the bottom. So when I work this cast on, I always like to check after I've worked every 10 or 20 stitches to make sure that they really are alternating between knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, and so forth, because it can be a little easy to miss one in there and it'll throw off the beautiful one-by-one ribbing effect you're trying to get. So if you stop and you're not sure where to pick up again, take a look at where the yarn, your working yarn, is hanging. If it's hanging with 2 stitches in front of it to the end of the needle, that means you need to work a knit stitch first. So I use little devices to help me remember. So what I say to myself is far knit. So we're going to knit that, and then I'll show you what it looks like when you have to do a purl next. So now, do you see how the yarn is actually kind of connected to that first stitch on the needle? So I say that's close. So we say close purl. So I'm going to purl that stitch. Sorry, you're getting a close-up view of my messed up nails. Okay. So again, knit front to back and purl back to front. If you're going to do this cast on for in the round knitting, as you'd use for my cloisters mitt, you want to do the full cast on, and then I actually suggest working one round just flat before you join in the round, because it's just a lot easier to make sure you're not twisted, because as you can see, this cast on has a slightly twisty look. Oops, sorry, my camera's not focusing. Has a slightly twisty look. So if you work one row before you join, it's really a lot easier, and you can always use your tail to just link that little gap after you finish your knit. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Thanks.